Lots of participants, and I would like to hear many of you. And this, I'd like to announce the first speaker, Maxim Ilyukhin, representing several self-organized institutions or self-organizations, such as ABC Gallery, Office Gallery, Universam Project, and Maxim Ilyukhin will be supported by Sasha Sestakov, one of the participants in our working research group. Thank you. Well, Maxim, you have a pretty long personal record of self-organizing experience, and the gallery office appeared after the ABC Gallery. It was started later. So, what was the difference in its work from ABC Gallery, and how this transition took place when and how you decided to start Office Gallery after quite a long work with ABC Gallery? Okay. Hello. Well, let me get self-organized prior to talking about self-organization principles. So, Sasha, since I had prepared my presentation with a slideshow, the first will be covering the Universam Fair and then Office Gallery, which basically responds to the succession of these events in time. So back in 2001, I had arranged with several artists, my partners, this Universam Fair, art fair. By the time I already had 5-year experience with ABC Gallery on Strelka Island in Moscow, and I participated with several art fairs, including one in Stockholm. And after returning back from Stockholm Fair, I came back with a desire to do something. I met some friends, Natasha Stuchkov and Misha Salomon, and first I discussed this idea with them. We decided it would be really interesting to arrange such a fair in Moscow. Then we continued, exchange with other artists concerning this idea, and then I decided to put together the organizing team, inviting the Stas, Shuripa, Liza Plavinskaya, and Anton, selecting these people because they were the artists who really attracted me as artists in artistic terms, in art terms, but also another reason was that they were involved in some practices involving other also in capacity of curators or gallerists. They were also teachers and tutors. So in this process we put together a team of 4 artists, and there we started organizing and preparing for this fair. And for quite a long while I decided and stuck to the principle of only involving and engaging artists. So maybe that was a kind of artificial, contrived idea. It was pretty hard just to limit ourselves from not inviting anybody. But then I made an exclusion, inviting Nastya Abt, who became one of the managers or directors of this project and provided a lot of help and consultance to me in terms of organizing approaches. So a result of the preparation, about half a year, was materialized in the fair itself. Participated by 25 different organizations, 25 stands. In parallel we had entertainment program, discussions, concerts. Could you tell us, please, what was the approach and principle for selection of participants, and how did you put together the whole composition of the participants? Since we were inspired firstly by the supermarket Stockholm Fair, then in principle I tried to implement this idea and copy it in Moscow, but of course it was absolutely clear that it would be impossible to implement exactly similar to Stockholm, but we still took it as a kind of a pattern. So participation fee was 400 euro, and as I said, well, considering the composition, well, 10,000 euro was the whole budget. The main expenses were printing out the catalog, then security, protecting the space, and boxes which we used for building the temporary walls, because, well, the premises were not used at all for any kind of exhibition projects, so we had to put up artificial partition walls using cardboard boxes. Okay, and now tell me, please. So the idea was just to use the self-organized art groups, well, to transfer it, to bring it over to Russia, but how the idea of supermarket affected, to what extent it affected, and how it was kind of reformed or performed in Russia. Well, as I said, well, the basic cost was the same as in Stockholm, but the difference was that we had no legal documentation basis. Everything was based on trust. We could not sell entry tickets or admission tickets. We could not formally conclude any agreements or contracts. And another important difference was that in Stockholm, well, certain spaces relevant to different art groups were participating in Moscow. I understood, well, the main thing was just to get involved some, communities or groupings of artists. I really don't think there's a reason to explain why. No, that really makes sense. Well, okay, so the reason is that, well, there are less space in Moscow which are affordable in terms of renting for artists, which could be used for public spaces. Well, in Europe and in Sweden in particular, well, there are much more such spaces, so that's why a certain condition of the exhibition was certain, documentation flow reflecting what's happening on each individual space. And in Moscow, well, just the reference that there's a certain self-organized community is there and can be represented, that was enough. Another question, well, any self-organizing or self-organized system assumes, certain profile of artists, and that's referring both to the office and to the Universam. So how do you combine the role of an artist and the manager? Well, it's a very long issue for art business consulting group, how to combine art practice with manager's role. And for me, it was a consensus selection that I was sticking just to manager's role, and anything coming out of the scope of this activity could be considered as, that was something extra work done by a manager besides organization and self-organization. Well, I imagine condition as a kind of a mask which I put on myself, and sometimes something is sticking out of this mask, like in the ear or something else. Okay, and now let's gradually move on to the gallery office. Tell us, please, how the idea of gallery office emerged after ABC, and what was the difference of office gallery from ABC? Okay, ABC was located on Strelka, already existing there for 5 years. And you see now the floor plan of this space, Gallery ABC, here on the screen. Well, at some point in time, this project was terminated, and then after a while decided to open a gallery, so I started looking for a space, and then I approached my friends from ABC Gallery to Natasha Misha with a proposal to rent a studio, well, together, sharing expenses. Well, Misha and Natasha already had their own studios. They didn't want to change it to any other studio. Then I found a space at the Artplay, and my friends, the architects, were ready to rent it together with me. And we decided to share the rent among us, but then to use it for each individual purpose. And I told them that in advance that I'm going to arrange exhibitions there, so we immediately thought about how to arrange the interior, how to organize the space. So initially we thought about to split it, into two halves to build some partition wall, and that's we'll be getting two small places. But after a while we decided not to do it, but simply we decided to use the whole space, but in turns, sometimes to arrange exhibitions there and art shows, and in between just to do something else. That was one of the main difference from ABC galleries, because ABC practically was working just one day a month during the vernissage. Well, the rest it was just lying there, and there was no internet access, so basically it was functioning just for one day. Here, Artplay Gallery was working every day. Well, some people from the street come up, while others who were, we had job relations, and the exhibitions, their, arrangement, and their, format, during vernissage had changed, and was slightly, ended up by daily, activities. But tell us, please, about your joint work. Basically, your collective approach for developing and building out the office gallery. Well, okay. In comparative way, let me say that ABC Gallery, and this quite an important moment for me. If ABC was involved in post-computer art, nevertheless, some exhibitions were arranged there, drifting away slightly from these themes. And sometimes the experience came from ABC Gallery. For example, here's the exhibition by Petya Filipov and Vanya Bolyani, who were painting portraits of the visitors. And by painting portraits, they basically were focusing very outstanding, very specific features of their models. For the rest, they simply didn't have time. So that was the very specific manner of drawing, fixing and focusing on very personal features, and that left very important trace of experience. In my gosh, I saw the way other artists were working, and that was quite interesting for me, just to have this opportunity to view, to see, to witness how other artists work. Well, we're gradually, coming out to the end of time. So here you see the ABC Gallery interior. So in the context talking about the office gallery, quite often you mention that exhibition is your main medium, it's your main means of communication. Well, I want to say about my approach to exhibition as a medium, but in this concept of работа рядом, working next to each other, well, for me, a very special approach was, looking and analyzing children who, even without communicating directly, but still on the same ground, the same premises, are, reciprocally affecting each other. There might be some action, some sound, something said in this common place, well, affecting and molding, the activities of the others. Otherwise, there's some interaction and interactivity, and this very fact of being next to somebody working it was very interesting for me. So, this, proximity of architects, other artists, and how they're interacting and affecting each other. That's what I call conditionally working together. So it was not a direct dialogue, which might be quite, complex, but it was simply just two separate talkings happening next to each other, not to each other, not to somebody else, but just in parallel. It's some common thing.
So this is as far as office space for working together is concerned. I also asked you about the exhibition as your main medium. That's true. I have a very short and brief formula. For example, let's say there is an exhibition. An exhibition for an exhibition. The artist is very often interested in exhibitions and making exhibitions. So internally, inside myself, I say no to such exhibitions. Then the second option is the exhibition about the exhibition. And this is more about being aware of such medium, and I say yes to this option. There's the third option, an exhibition as an exhibition. And so this option, I don't really know what it is, but I am interested in this. And why do I call the exhibition to be my main medium? Many people ask me, what is it that I'm doing? And I explain that I organize exhibitions. And so people begin to continue their questions. So basically, this is what I do. I make exhibitions. So we should probably finish here. Thank you, Maxim, very much for your story. I would like to thank Natasha Struchkova, Nastya M., Misha Kosolapov, all those people that helped me doing those exhibitions. And I would also like to thank you not only because you did something for me, something good that you did, but also for those things that you didn't give me. Maybe for things that hurt me. I would also like to thank you for that. Thank you, Maxim. You should tell us what is it that we haven't given you, and then we'll think about it.